Well, it's time for another chat. I
It
look forward to
is.
this.
It is.
We're
It'll
gonna.
be a good one though.
This is a good one. Not the easiest one, but a good one.
Right.
We want to talk about resources for pet guardians who are struggling or going
Mhm.
through hard times. We wish that no pet guardians had to go through hard times, but we know that's not how it works. Sometimes things go along really smoothly, and then sometimes we have an illness, or there's an incident, or
Mhm.
there's a behavior that crops up, and everybody needs resources. Everybody needs something to hang on to during those times.
Yeah, absolutely. It's inevitable that we're going to face hard times with our pets, unfortunately, but there are plenty of resources out there to help.
There are. In the case of a behavior that becomes problematic or that just hasn't gone away, we haven't found an answer. We know that sometimes there's interventions beyond what a trainer can provide. Do you want to speak to some of those interventions and support uh, resources?
Yeah. Um, Oftentimes trainers can only go so far with particular behaviors. So we like to recommend behavior veterinarians. So they're board certified vets that specialize in behavior. And there's a really great one out of Boulder that we almost always recommend too. They can provide more information on drug interventions and other supports of that nature. So I really love the ones out of Boulder. Only ever heard good things. And just recently, we have a new veterinarian at the Animal Friends Alliance who can provide a lot of behavioral support too. So that's a nice closer resource to have here in Northern Colorado.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to know that somebody's come on board like that because
Yeah.
when I had a foster dog that needed a veterinary behaviorist, there was one working with, it wasn't called Animal Friends Alliance, but it was the same organization.
Oh yeah.
And she was amazing. She came into my home and worked with us, worked with Pip, worked with us on medication, and then she took a different path in her career. So I'm thrilled to know that they have somebody on board again.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Mhm.
And someone with just extra knowledge in the pharmaceuticals and stuff is so valuable to bring a whole different perspective on your dog too, which is nice to have.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with talking to your regular veterinarian about the
Oh yeah, no.
possibility of support via medication, but it's kind of the difference between going to a psychologist and a psychiatrist.
Right,
Well,
right.
actually, no, that let me rephrase that. Where the medication's concerned, it's the difference between going to your GP, who can
Hmm.
prescribe those medications, or
Yeah,
going to a psychiatrist who is a specialist.
right, exactly.
So when we visit with the veterinary behaviorist, they're the specialist.
Mhm. Yeah, that is very true. And oftentimes our daytime vets can offer a lot of support and behavioral stuff too, but it's nice to have someone who specializes in that solely. Their whole practice is in behavior.
Yeah, depending on what kind of um, it, problems the dog is going through, depending on what the behaviors are, how and the severity, and how
Right.
much it's impacting the quality of life of the dog and of the pet guardian. We can make a decision about, where do we go with this? Do we need to go straight to the specialist, or is it okay to visit with the generalist first? So a lot of
Yeah,
times it just depends on the severity of the problem.
absolutely. But we can help people guide that too. Like start with your daytime vet. You are due for a checkup anyways, and then guide people from there, which is nice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, another thing that can happen where people need support right away is if there's an incident, if there's an accident.
Right.
And so Northern Colorado is so fortunate to have good emergency vet care.
Hmm.
You almost have your pick of, several, which is amazing. And on our PDF that we're gonna make available to anyone who wants it, we are gonna list those emergency vet clinics that you can reach out to if your dog has, a, an incident happen in the middle of the night and
Mhm.
that isn't available.
Yeah, it's so good to know where your ERs are anyways, for humans and dogs. You never know when anything will crop up. So it's always good to have those on hand.
It is, and we really are excited to offer
Yeah.
all of these in one place. People can put it on
Yeah.
the refrigerator if they
Right.
want.
Exactly. Yeah. And then on that same note, we want to offer some ideas for specialty clinics. How can that be beneficial in even behaviors, illnesses, incidents? How can a specialty provide extra support? A specialist.
Absolutely. And sometimes it's just like with humans, your GP can provide the support that you need in 90% of the
Hmm.
cases, that you would bring to them. But if there's something really is puzzling, or if there's a physical problem that is above your GP, then you want to know where those specialists are. And the same with our dogs. And
Yeah.
God forbid that any of our clients go through having an animal with cancer, but we do know that it happens, and it happens more frequently than we would like,
Yeah.
but it happens. And so you want all of the support that you can get to make the best
Absolutely.
decisions that you can for your dog and for your family.
Yeah, for sure. That is very true.
Um, we know that our dogs' lives are never long enough, and that the time often comes to say goodbye, and it breaks our hearts when
Mhm.
that happens. And sometimes we need support to get through it. I know
Yeah.
you and I have
Absolutely.
both been there.
Oh, yeah. And that's where the Argus Institute has been super beneficial. I can speak uh, personally that they have provided me with a ton of support when I lost my dog traumatically and I just needed help. And I was able to get help almost immediately. And they were there for the long term too. So we'll provide all of that information as well. You don't have to go through those really terrible times alone, even if it's not traumatic. Losing a dog is horrible. I don't know anybody who would speak differently about it. So having someone that you can rely on and understands and um, it's just super helpful. And
And
support groups can provide a similar um, peace of mind, kind of where people who understand exactly what you're going through or something at least very close. So we can provide some support group ideas too, not only for grief, but any of these weird behaviors you might be struggling with. We'll put those on that PDF too. So people have that as a resource.
absolutely. And when you go to work, or not you personally, but when people go to work and say, "Oh, I'm struggling, I'm sad, because my dog is sick, or I lost my dog," and people don't understand. They don't understand why you're barely functioning. That
Right.
doesn't
Yeah.
feel good. And
No.
I know I wanted to give a shout out to Argus Institute as well, because um, when I was in a pretty dark place after the loss of my third dog in 8 months to cancer. If it hadn't been for the Argus Institute and some support in pretty short order, I don't know what I would have done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Never a fun time, but it's always good to know where your support may be in those moments. Yeah.
There's no reason to do it alone.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And as trainers, we often get pretty emotionally involved with these cases too, right? So not only are these vetted recommendations for you, but like we, as we just spoke, use them too, because they're big for us too. We go through hard times with not only our dogs, but we also want to provide a lot of support for you, for our clients, anybody who could be going through a hard time with their dogs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I think, you know, um, illness and incidents, those are kind of the two things, and behaviors, illness, incidents, and behaviors, where
Mm.
we uh, often will need extra support, and please reach out to us, either Hannah at KK9dogtraining.com or Kay at KK9dogtraining.com, and we will provide you with a PDF that has resources that can be helpful to you when you are going through tough times. And
Yep.
of course, reach out to us if you need to talk, have a phone conversation. We'd be happy to help.
Yeah, always happy to chat.
Well, thank you so much, Hannah. This was a great
Thank
conversation.
you. Yeah, it's a good one.
And I do hope that this little video will reach people who need it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that we can provide the resources that somebody needs in a time when they're maybe feeling alone.
Yeah, for sure. I hope so too.
All right. Well, goodbye for now. It was great
Goodbye for now.
talking to you.
We'll talk soon. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.